What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Waterboy Podcast. It is episode 308, and we are getting closer and closer to NFL draft season. Might have an official Waterboy mock draft 2.0 on today's show.
Possibly. I mean, it is a gray area. I would say 1.5, not a 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
Not a 2.0.
Shit. Okay. The
One and a
first
half.
one's technically version 1. This is 1.0.
But you're saying the first one is version 0, so this is 1.0?
Well, the first one is just version 1. No points, just
no
1.
points. Okay.
This
All right,
is
I got
version 1.0.
Oh. Just add the dot.
Separate
the period makes everything.
From version 1.
The period makes everything. We're moving into decimal.
Numerically, it's the same number, but categorically, completely different.
It's like the original Minecraft updates where it literally was 1.0, 1.0.1.
That's where I was thinking. But with this mock draft, we will have a trade in every single selection. So I really want to shout out.
Honestly, very close. Very close.
Okay.
The Titans did trade out of the first round. They did trade out of the first round in this mock.
Yeah, I guess I've seen some, things going around with the draft. It appears as if we can confidently say Cam Ward will be a Tennessee Titan.
You don't say Treylon Burks is a top 4 wide receiver in the NFL without kind of giving away what's going on. I'm assuming those lines for him have been pulled, by the way.
I will say, though, credit to Cam Ward. He's already taking the first step to being a good quarterback in the NFL. Take all the blame. Take every single piece of blame. Own up to everything. Even if it was not your fault at all, you still say it was. That's what we're looking for.
You know who doesn't do that?
A lot of quarterbacks, but please tell me who you're thinking of right now.
Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, yeah, that I was also saying Nico Iamaleava.
Definitely does not either. Well. Definitely is in contention there, but he is not up for the NFL draft this year. Very different.
That's true.
Very different.
I would say there is a plethora of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I will also add, if Shedeur does get drafted to the Saints, I'm expecting a lot of complaints continuing about the offensive line performance because one thing we know about Shedeur, he does not give his offensive line any breaks if his performance dips. So,
Oh boy. Oh, that's going to be a disaster.
Oh,
yeah, if Shedeur is a New Orleans Saint, over under week 3.5, Chris Olave has a season-ending hamstring tweak.
Pull.
Yeah. Week 3.5, over under.
If Shedeur is the quarterback?
Shedeur is the starting quarterback week 1 of your New Orleans Saints, Everett.
I think with Kellen Moore. Very different situation.
Oh, shit, where are you going with that?
If Kellen Mond was the head coach of the Saints, an absolute disaster fire is going on. But with Kellen Moore as the head coach, I think Chris Olave can make it to week 5.
Okay, week 5. Now, I love we are deep in that off-season period where we just have posts that truly mean nothing at all. And I saw one post, watch out, Chris Olave's looking big this off-season. It's like, dude, who cares? Like, I could not care less if Olave has been hitting some bench.
My favorite is when they say that, and it's like a player who's normally it's like Devontae Smith or like Jameson Williams or something. They say that. They say that, and they send a picture, and it's like, it's like I saw one with like somebody posted like Jalen Hyatt looking big in the weight room, and he legitimately looked like a twig. I'm like, what weight room are we talking about here? Because it's like the Weenie Hut Junior's weight room, not what was the other one? I don't know. Salty Sardine or Salty Splatoon. Not the Salty Splatoon weight room.
Splatoon, sorry.
Yeah,
not Splatoon.
Yeah.
Unlocked a memory right there. But lot of interesting stuff. Nico Iamaleava is now the quarterback of your UCLA Bruins. I think this is going to be a case study, an example of how the grass is not always greener. Sometimes you are better off staying put. and not doing anything. Sometimes the best action is no action.
I agree with that. I think that, like you were saying, this is a case study. I think we talked about it on the last episode, maybe it was 2 episodes ago, whenever it kind of first broke, where I think we were kind of saying, okay, is a concern, like this is a holdout, like it might present more opportunities for certain, like with NIL going forward, it might cause problems. Also saying, hey, this is an opportunity for like G5 programs or whatever to get a player like this. But I think the fact that so many teams backed out, and I'm assuming he got less money at UCLA than he was going to get at Tennessee.
Yeah, I don't know what he's getting at UCLA, but the rumor is it's like $1 million or under $1 million.
And he was getting 2.2. I think 2.2 at Tennessee. So I think this is
2.2 or 2.4.
I think you were saying, the grass is not always greener. And this is a perfect example, not to mention, like, okay, if you are 100% saying, and you're not caring about money, which is not the case, because now the dad, I think, is backing up being like, no, it was never about the money. It was about the playing style. Bullshit. If you were actually making an issue with like, hey, this is going to be better for my draft stock. Like I can't work in this offense. I need teams to see that I can play. That's one thing. But when you're leaving, you're making the whole point that you're holding out over money.
Yeah, and
very difficult to make that argument.
In the first place was money.
Yeah, very difficult to make that argument.
There to begin with. Yeah, no. It's like, hey, and to that, I counter with this. If now you are concerned about Tennessee's offense, what the hell were you doing when you first committed? Were you not aware of the offense that you're about to walk into? Shit, I would have done a little bit more homework on the system I'm about to play in. Personally, I would have, been interested. Wait.
I would have done some homework.
Line up 5 yards outside the nut. Coach, I'm not sure if I could even make that. Coach, I can't make that throw.
I think in the end, this has been beneficial to college football as a study. Yeah. I like we and I specifically were concerned with the potential outcomes of this because I was certain that it was going to end with him getting paid more just because of the way college football and NIL works. But the fact that he didn't get paid, you had Tulane backing out, you had UNC backing out. I don't even know if USC made an offer.
Yeah, I have no idea. This is like
none of the big programs that could use a quarterback like an Ohio State was not even heard about being in the mix. You didn't have an FSU, didn't even hear about them being in a mix. Like you didn't have any programs that may or may not actually need a quarterback.
Florida State's quarterback.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know why, but I'm interested.
But
I want to figure that out.
Any teams that are high profile that may or could use a upgrade at quarterback weren't involved. To the point where it literally now it seems like it was really just UCLA or nothing at this point. And he can't go back with his tail between his legs and ask if he can come back to Tennessee. No, they're not going to let him back.
No, they're not taking him back.
So like this,
if Tennessee took him back, I mean, no one.
Like I really do think this is a very good case study into the minds of general managers across college football at all levels, head coaches, and just teams in general, because there's a non-zero chance that if UCLA didn't extend anything, he might end up being at a crappy G5 program. Like it's
who knows?
Nobody else is going to step on it. Like unless he's going, hey, I legitimately will take $300K to go to your school. Even then they might be like, why the fuck am I about to offer you $300K? Like nobody else wants you.
It almost in a way, it's like, shit, if you're going down to $300K, you're not really confident.
Yeah, you're not confident in yourself.
I don't want.
Yeah, no, got to learn the art of the deal.
But Nico made a bad decision. Obviously didn't go the way it was planned, but I think Nico's a great example. Like at first I was thinking he was going to get more.
Yeah, no, I agree.
In that scenario, my first thought was, all right, if I'm a potential suitor for Nico, could use a quarterback upgrade. And let's say Nico was going to get a 3.5 or a 4 million. Those schools, like, you got to make the decision, like, is it worth giving 20% of my budget to just this quarterback? Like, is that worth it?
I think
clearly at that price, no.
I think
talent wise, he wasn't worth that much.
Talent wise is one thing. I do think in a vacuum, the programs that you kind of expect to get pillaged after a season, which are the G5 schools or low power 4 schools, like they're just going to have, it's going to be a continual thing where if you do really, really well at one of these schools, P4 schools or top programs are going to want you. So it's just a revolving door. But if you're like a Tulane, and this is kind of why I made that point, if you're a Tulane, you might want to spend $4 million on this quarterback because it gives you a 1-year rental, a 1-year window. You're not attached to, it's going to be gone at the end of the year. And then you just have the money to recycle to go spend on another player to make you competitive because you're not going to be able to retain a lot of guys. That's where, it was important to me when I was talking about Tulane, where I'm saying, hey, if you do land Nico and you do spend this money, it can open up a lot of avenues of opportunity because you can say, hey, now we're one of those schools where you're going to be one and done with us. You're either going to the league or you're going to a top program, but in this year, we're going to be competitive. And that's where it gets interesting to me about maybe you spend the $4 million, maybe you spend the $5 million, but clearly, as you said, the talent of Nico, and I think
he's not worth that much.
I think also there's a lot of question marks on him specifically for.
Well, I think
Tennessee,
now that we're seeing
being at Tennessee.
Well, now that we're seeing teams weren't even willing to pay $1 million, now it's extended to, talent. Talent is clearly if you look at Nico's stats against the top ranked teams versus the non-ranked teams.
Just look at the Ohio State game.
That was a bad one, but just any SEC opponent that Tennessee was playing, Nico did not play well in any of those games.
I just like to add, do we think Nico is going to, even if he's, West Coast kid, you're now in a conference that plays outdoors in the winter against top level programs. Something tells me that's not going to go well.
Can you take a wild guess where the UCLA Bruins are playing on November 15th this year?
Penn State?
No, Nico will return to Neyland North on November 15th. He goes back to Ohio State, back to the house that Tennessee built, and he has to return to Neyland North. And now the stadium will probably be 60% capacity Tennessee fans. So Nico's going to be hearing it the whole time. It's going to be a hostile orange environment.
I think it's also interesting. I know, obviously, he's probably going to be a one and done this season. He's probably going to the league after this year.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know,
but it does
from UCLA.
It does interest me though.
Newsflash: he's not going to the NFL from UCLA, folks. In case you were interested, he isn't.
It does interest me though. Darian Mensah, Tulane, $4 million over 2 years. I'm curious if he was looking. I don't know what his
Oregon is it or
Darian's at Duke.
Wow.
I am curious because I don't know the basis of what his deal was or what how much pay was over per year. I am curious if he was looking for 4 or 5 million over periods of time or as one individual year. That is something I would like to know though, because in a vacuum, not even a vacuum, I keep saying in a vacuum, but just in a 1-year window that we're looking at, in just this whole situation. Are we really talking about teams paying him $4 million or upwards of $5 million? Or are we really talking about them paying $2 million a year? That there is a difference.
Well, that's of course.
That's just an insight to how teams' minds work. Because I'm curious if they're saying
rumors
$4 million in 1 year or $2 million.
College football budget is $20 million. If that's it, I'd be shocked if that's the budget, $20 million. I think these teams are paying a bit more than that. That's just.
I know the bag man still exists to a certain extent.
Let's just say it is $20 million. All right, and let's kind of try to a little bit think of this somewhat like the NFL. NFL, your core, a superstar, lights out generation quarterback, franchise Q gets what are they getting now? 55, 60 a year?
Yeah.
How much are they getting? So, okay, and this NFL salary cap, what is it, 270?
It's 282 or something like that.
280, but 60, 280, it's a little under 25%. Let's say 20, 22, 23% of the cap goes to your quarterback in the NFL. Game changer. All right. Now, we have seen in the NFL, though, we go over this rookie quarterback deals. That's how you get, sometimes it's not in your best interest to have over 20% of your salary cap to one player. It can work if you got rookies all around, like the Eagles. It can work.
Well,
in college, the Will Howard example, where you get a cheaper quarterback surrounded with the other, and remember, surrounded with talent, is not as expensive than if you had to go get your superstar Caleb Williams quarterback.
I mean, the one thing that I will say, and we kind of cover this when the whole Darian Mensah to Duke from Tulane kind of thing came out. I was talking about his agent. His agent was kind of comparing the contract percentages from college versus like the NFL, like the top players just making that kind of stuff. I think a point to make is the players of quote unquote equal talent entering the NFL are not that are in the NFL are the ones entering the NFL. Those are the guys on rookie deals who arguably per year, besides signing bonus, just as a per year salary, are making less than what these players would be making per year as NIL, talking about like the top quarterbacks. So like that is the other interesting thing, because you shouldn't be comparing Caleb Williams to what Patrick Mahomes is making. You should be comparing Caleb Williams to what the last first round pick quarterback went for. That's the evaluation.
Well, it's just,
I'm just saying if you're going that route, if you're going the 1-to-1 route.
Well, it's obviously you can't be one like it's different in the NFL. Like,
no, I know, but I'm saying if we're talking about like salary cap.
Well, actually, even more so, salary cap. We're talking about how your rookies will bail you out.
That's what I'm saying.
Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, DeJean, all these guys.
But I'm saying
you get bailed out, but you're allowed to succeed paying that quarterback 20% because you got a bunch of dogs. We're talking Pro Bowl players making much less, but in college, your true freshman fourth string on your depth chart is making more of a percentage than what your rookie superstar Jalen Carter would be making. So that means that $5 million, $4 million your quarterback. Oh yeah, now you really can't give that much to one player because the baseline to fill out the rest of your team is a lot higher.
Well, like my general point is if we're going to compare it as a salary cap, which a lot of people and agents and whatever have compared just by contract percentages. You're saying, hey, quarterbacks are making this percentage on average. Top quarterbacks are making this percentage on average in the NFL. Top quarterbacks in college should be making the same percent, and it's $4 million or whatever, right? I don't know what the actual math is.
I'm not even thinking percentage.
I know. Like, I'm just saying. Like, this was a point that the Darian's agent made when he moved to Duke. Like that was a point that came up, was the comparison of percentage contract value and also the percentage. I think it was more so the percentage that the agents were taking. He was saying like the agents in the NFL deals take like 30% or whatever. So we're equating that here to like
that's pretty damn good.
I'm not saying what I'm just making an arbitrary number. I don't remember. It was more so related to
holy shit.
It was more so related to that, but I am now going to bring up the point just on a player to player basis. If we're just comparing the 200 something mil in the NFL cap to 20 something mil in college football cap, you also need to take player skills and talent like into perspective. Like the top players in the NFL are not comparable at all to the top players in college, but the last, like if you have a quarterback going number one overall, right? Like for example, let's talk 2023, 2024, right? 2024, Caleb Williams, number one overall. Season before that, Bryce Young, number one overall in 2023. For that first year, the evaluation, if Caleb Williams is evaluated as the number one quarterback in college football, the equivalent to him would be Bryce Young in the NFL, because that is the last, like that contract would be the similar value is what I'm trying to say. So instead of comparing the value, the percentage of how much Caleb Williams should be taking up on your cap, comparing that to a Patrick Mahomes, you should compare that to a Bryce Young. And I'm just saying evaluate on average, like the first round pick.
Bryce Young, like rookie.
You're comparing it what he did in college, and there's a reason he was number one overall pick. Like that's what the example I'm just trying to get.
No, I'm aware, but this is college football. Like, I don't know, even a Bryce Young in college. Like, no, like Bryce Young in college. All right, I don't give a shit what he's gonna do in his rookie year. Like in college against college kids. No, Bryce Young like is Patrick Mahomes. Like, he is one of the best quarterbacks in college. Like,
I'm saying, if we look at from this perspective, okay. 20 mil equals 200 mil. And I know that you're arguing, hey, Mahomes is taking up 25%. And if we're equating things and we're saying that Arch Manning is Mahomes.
What I'm just saying is that
I'm saying to make things work, like
go dish out
on an average basis, the contract value for a base salary for a first round pick is equivalent, if not less, than a lot of what these players are getting in college.
You're really hung up on like this first, like
I'm using it as an example.
That doesn't apply to college football because like we don't.
I am saying if we are comparing players, why would we not compare it to what the last set of number one players in college football are now being paid their first year in the NFL? Why would we not use that as the equivalent value? Reference, I'm saying
why does it matter what Bryce Young's like first? Like I'm just like free agency, like shit. Bryce Young hypothetically making $4 million in NIL. You have 20 million. Like, hey, like, do you want to give 20% of your thing to one player? Like, that's up to you. Like,
I'm just saying instead of doing a comparison and using percentage values from what like the top player, the top quarterback in the NFL is making, I'm just saying you can streamline it and just make it similar to what those players that are now being selected that were the top in college and are now getting selected in the first round. That's why I was saying first round, like the top quarterback the year before, the top two quarterbacks the year before, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, right? They're making, I don't know what their base salary is, but like, let's say that it's fucking $4 million over 2 years. It's not, but that is what I'm saying is it's comparable. It's comparable to the same amount that an NIL collective would give a player. So I'm just saying, why would we not use that as the comparison if it's more indicative of what NIL is actually going to be paying players?
Yeah, I think I may see a problem. You're really hung up on the number 4 million here. Like
I'm just using it as an arbitrary example. No player is getting paid $60 million in the NIL money. I'm just saying it is just more similar in what they are getting paid.
Yeah, okay. I think right now I'm interested what exactly is going on through your head. I have zero clue. What I'm just saying is like a lot of these colleges right now, like if I'm Ohio State, let's say if I were to go take Nico, and let's say he is that talented, and it cost me $5 million, I now need to I don't know, but however many players are now going to leave my team taking in Nico.
Because I get that. I think my greater point to a certain extent is just why shouldn't NIL collective be paying a player more than a current number one overall pick in the NFL? That's like a general point.
Wait, why shouldn't they?
Why should they be paying? If I have two quarterbacks,
why should they?
I'm saying if I have quarterbacks, yes, they technically would. By base salary standards, they would be. Like if I look up Bryce Young base salary per year, his 2024
the contract.
I'm saying his 2025 over 4 years he's making $40 million. I'm not counting signing bonus. Like the way that I look at NIL is it's
a big thing.
The way I look at NIL though is it's a salary. It's your base salary. Like that's just what your yearly income is going to be. That's what your base salary is. You don't get a bonus. It's like just the bonus.
Your money. Like
the
signing bonus shit comes in the NFL because like your cap space. We know cap doesn't exist. Like forget all that shit. Like there's like forget all that. I don't give a shit about that. It's just the percent of your quote cap space, your NIL budget.
So let me
20 million because that's the reported number going around, and I'd bet a lot of money. It's higher than that. Just want that on record. But forget I said that. 20 million. We'll play with that. Like it's just it's like that's not a big budget. It's really
it's not. But all right,
you don't get shit.
I think the point that I'm making is getting lost a little bit, and I was trying to basically say it's not a high budget to begin with, and these first round picks are not being paid overtly that much. Like base salary is $1 million for this year for Bryce Young. I'm just saying because this cap of 20 is not that high, why would I be enticed to pay you more than what the base salary for this player that was just drafted number 1 overall would be. But that kind of goes against that's just more of a general inquiry, like a thought that's not like saying that's what they should do, and that's not really a whole argument to get hung up on, because it's not supposed to be an argument. It's supposed to be just...
I have an answer for you. Why would I be willing to pay Jeremiah Smith more than what the number 1 pick in the draft would make? Well, because Jeremiah Smith is really, really good, and if I am allowed to pay him $3 million, I will do it. I don't give a shit if it's more than what Bryce Young's made. You're okay. Yeah, no, Jeremiah. Oh, you mean the alien freak? Yeah, no. 3. Yeah.
Like, no, like,
go line up at X, run that post.
I
take it to the house.
I recognize that, like, college is its own thing separate from the NFL, and you're going to pay players on a scale of college versus paying players on the scale of what they do in the NFL, because in the end, it's what you do for the team in college. Like, I get that, but it was more so just a thought of, like, we're talking about regulating NIL a little bit more, and you only have such a finite amount of money. That's just one of those thoughts where I'm like, I wonder if that's been considered at all. But yeah, I mean, with Nico, I don't really know. I'm curious what's going to end up like if this means less play. Like we've seen a lot of players like Jaden Knott just enter the portal too. I think Cal had like 5 running backs enter the portal in a span of 48 hours.
The thing with Jaden Knott, if I were Jaden Knott, I'm hitting the portal because the Cal Golden Bears do not look like the greatest football team.
You know who just took over that program? No. Riverboat Ron. Well, exactly reason to get out. There's a difference. Like Jaden Knott, I think it's the way that you portray yourself. Like if Jaden Knott's leaving because he wants to just go to a better program, Jaden Knott will probably get more money going to a better program anyways. Yeah. He doesn't even have to ask about it. Yeah. But Nico wanted to leave a program that was good for more money, and that's 2 different things. Those are 2 very different things, and it positionally also makes a difference.
Miscalculation on his dad, thinking he would get more when he didn't even really.
Was his dad the one that was like?
His dad is his agent.
Oh, see, you never do that,
and he doesn't need to operate in any good faith because his son is his.
Yeah,
don't forget about Madden Iamaleava. I think he's gonna be in college next year. Yeah, that's gonna be that career might have descended.
You know what?
Sorry, Madden.
Just a shout.
Great name.
Great name. While we're on the subject of just not letting your dad be your agents, this is just Lil Gronk. I'm telling you now, man. Do not let your dad be your baby Gronk. Sorry, yeah, disrespectful on my half. I apologize. Baby Gronk, do not let your dad be your agent. Just.
Unfortunately, he already is. On the other hand, though, Baby Diggs, your dad is killing it with your marketing.
Juice.
Tell your dad to keep it up.
Juice.
Got some good shit.
Juice. Do not let your dad be.
The Japanese middle schooler who works on his pitch routine, keep posting those videos, dog. You got some good mechanics, all right? Keep posting them.
Okay. Let's get into the NFL and talk about some draft stuff here, Grant. I think this will be a fun way to end up this generally shorter episode from the way I believe we're going. But I have our mock 1.0 sitting in front of me. Trades are included here, just kind of, having a little bit of fun with it. Not necessarily saying this is exactly the way that I think it's going to go down, because if I'm looking at this right now, there are some things I would do differently going back through this. So that's why I said 1.0, not finalizing anything. And as we say, generally, this is not a projection of what will happen. This is if I was drafting for this team, this is what I would do, because a lot of these teams make stupid decisions draft. So do you want me to just run through the 32? How do you want to do this?
Quick question on that. So are you I think you answer that, but you are factoring in GM incompetence.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You are predicting some GMs missing bad, and they'll take a player that they should.
So I'm not necessarily projecting exactly what's going to happen. And a little bit of the influence is, hey, if I was this team in this spot, this is who I would draft. However, I am thinking in the mind of that team's GM. So I'm saying, if I was this team in this position, who would I draft as the mindset of that GM? So I'm not projecting. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen or what I'm expecting to happen, but this is saying if I was at pick 9, I was the Saints, what would Mickey Loomis do? Very hard to think about that one. That's what it is. Okay. You want me to just run through 32? Yeah. You want to ask certain? Okay.
Let's just run through it all.
Okay. I guess I'll just say teams, and I'll just go in order 1 to 32. We'll go from there. All right. At 1, Titans take Cam Ward. At 2, the Browns take Travis Hunter. At 3, the Giants take Mason Graham. At 4, the Patriots take Abdul Carter. 5, we have our first trade of the night, Grant. The Jets are trading up with the Jaguars, just moving up 2 spots, going from 7 to 5 to draft Will Campbell, tackle. At 5, 6, Ashton Genty to the Raiders. 7, with the Jaguars, they will draft Tyler Warren, Grant. I apologize
for there. Okay.
I apologize to Brenton Strange on your dynasty squad. They're taking Tyler Warren.
Who gives a shit about Brenton Strange?
At 8, the Panthers take Tet. At 9, the Saints take Shadur. At 10, the Bears take Mike Green. At 11, the 49ers take Will Johnson. At 12, the Cowboys take Matthew Golden. At 13, the Dolphins take Jahdae Barron. 14, you get Gray Zabel to the Colts. 15, we have our next trade, Grant. The Texans are trading up from 25 to 15 with the Falcons to draft Armand Membu, tackle from Mizzou. Okay. 16, Ole Miss, Arizona, we get Walter Nolan off the board. 17,
wow, a little early for Nolan, huh?
Okay. He's been rising. 17, Bengals take Kenneth Grant. 18, the Seahawks take Donovan E. Still don't know how to pronunciate that name.
Yeah,
Donovan E.
Good. We have established that. Okay.
19, the Bucks take Malachi Starks. 20, the Broncos take Amarian Hampton. At 21, the Falcons now trade up with the Steelers. From 25 to 21, the Falcons draft Jihad Campbell. At 22, the Chargers take Emeka Egbuka. At 23, the Packers take Luther Burden. At 24, the Vikings take Derek Harmon. The Steelers at 25 stay put. They take James Pierce. 26, Rams take Colson Loveland. 27, Ravens take Shamar Stewart. 28, Lions take Michael Williams, who will go across from Aiden Hutchinson. 29, the Commanders take Kelvin Beggs Jr. 30, the Bills take Jalen Walker. 31, the Chiefs take Josh Simmons. And 32, the Eagles take Nick Eamon-Wari. Safety from South Carolina.
You're just saying
just names.
The Lions pick Michael to Detroit. Oh boy. Oh shit. Oh man. That is actually where my interest has gone this draft. I want to see where these immensely talented raw talent SEC edges where they don't really have the production. I'm curious. I think those are the most likely landing spot will literally determine your NFL career. If you go to the Lions, if you go to the Ravens, if you go to, I don't know if the Commanders would even need, Eagles aren't taking any edges.
Commanders
right?
could,
right?
I think they Commanders can use D-line. They can use D-line.
Those teams, I think you got a good chance of success. If you go to the Chiefs, the Bills, the Rams,
the Falcons.
Well, Rams wouldn't take an edge.
They won't. The Falcons. Maybe they don't need to.
Falcons. Falcons.
The Rams also have developed their internal. They've developed their D-line so well over the past couple of years, and they've drafted really well. They have no reason to take a defensive lineman. Their defensive line is pretty good.
Yeah, it's like Texans, Rams, Vikings, Packers. I love all those landing spots, but I don't know if any of those teams are looking.
Vikings only need interior defensive line. I was looking at the Packers because it does say, at least on PFF, it says they could use like an edge or something. I was looking at them like they just drafted Van Ness in the first round. They still have Rashawn Gary.
They drafted who? Sorry, did not need
Van
to
Ness.
Porzingis.
Lucas Van Ness.
Lucas Van Ness?
From Iowa. I think he's from Iowa.
Okay.
They still have Rashawn Gary. They have Kenny Clark and Devon Wyatt, I think is his name. So like there's no reason for them to spend a first round pick on that, and the Texans obviously are in the same boat. Maybe they could use an internal IDL. I don't know.
Yeah, I got no idea. I mean, I'll be honest. Like Luther Burden, my interest has been gradually increasing over the past.
Yeah, you have not been a big fan of Luther Burden overall.
Well, this is the thing. Last season, Luther Burden looked so awful, and I now I was really caught up in the Jeremiah Smith hype. And so I was comparing Jeremiah Smith, and I was like, dude, Luther Burden couldn't hold Jeremiah's jock strap. Or I was being that Ohio State fan, okay? But if I'm just looking, when it comes to wide receivers, talent is what matters. That is what matters. And sometimes you can have really poor production in college, and you do produce in the NFL, even as a rookie. Like, I've seen it happen a lot recently. Like, Brian Thomas is like one of the best examples of, like,
I mean, I've seen a lot of comparisons between Luther Burden and Brian Thomas lately too, just overall.
Oh, I would not compare them at all.
I think it's a production. It's a general. It's a general. I'm saying it's generally a production comparison.
Oh, that's even worse. That's whoever made that comparison, you need to retire, because they are opposite. Brian Thomas didn't do jack his first years, and then he performed it all at the end. Luther Burden is an inverse. All the production came early, and he didn't get it in his last year. But this is the thing, Luther Burden, he is extremely, extremely talented. I believe number 2 player in the class. His freshman year, he put up like 600 yards and 9 touchdowns. Sophomore year, put up, I think, 1,213 touchdowns. Okay, that, he's already certified. I don't give a shit what he did last year. He's doing that as a true freshman in the SEC on Missouri. He can put up those numbers. And as a true sophomore...
Hey, don't disrespect Brady Cook like that.
Oh, come on, Everett. Like, let's get serious on this podcast. We're trying to gain followers. We can't be saying anything positive about Brady Cook. That's how we lose our credibility. So Luther Burden was handicapped in so many different ways. Also, just Eli Drink is, I mean, what are we doing, Luther? I love him for staying home. If there were any character concerns about Luther Burden, throw that out the window. He stayed at home in Missouri. He could have gone elsewhere, but he stayed at home. So you don't get the character concerns there on that of NIL, Nico Iamaleava program bag chaser. None of that. Luther Burden is talent, okay? And the production is not really there. But yeah, if he goes to the Green Bay Packers, Everett, oh shit. Oh, God. If he goes to the Broncos, that could be a career over before it begins. If he goes to the Steelers
I will be honest,
that could be a career over before it begins.
The Steelers aren't drafting a wide receiver in the first round. The Broncos, I have legitimately, but they are taking one of 2 players. It's either Omarion Hampton or it's Luther Burden, assuming both are present. It is going to be one of those 2 if both are present. That is something where I'm like, there's nothing else. Luther Burden has Denver Bronco written so much over him that if a wide receiver is available, regardless if it's a Mecca or him or Golden, if it is Luther Burden, just face value.
All right.
He has a written
two-face opinion right now on a potential Luther Burden to Broncos. Charger fan perspective first. The high ceiling potential is so great if they take Burden at 20 and then take your running back the next round.
Trayvion's been much
more terrified of a potential what the Denver Broncos offense could be if they took Burden here and then their running back later. Now, Denver Broncos, Bo Nix dynasty owner perspective. Like, if Luther Burden goes to the Broncos, it could hit. It could be great, but I think there's a much higher potential of that being a train wreck disaster. Just how the Broncos, like, not even Bo Nix, just the Broncos are going to screw this up. But also at the same time, if the Broncos took Hampton there, Bo Nix dynasty owner, I am much more confident in Bo Nix the following season, even though they need a receiver bad. Hampton will stabilize the run game and give Bo Nix some nice coverages where he can throw. Like, I would rather have Hampton as a Bo Nix dynasty owner. As a Chargers fan, I am afraid of what Luther Burden could be. So,
like... Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It is definitely interesting.
Two-pronged approach right there.
And I mean, if Omarion Hampton does not go to the Broncos, the Steelers are going to pick him up the next pick. Like he's going 20 or 21. Like that, unless somebody trades up, I don't see a world where he makes it past 21 because both of those teams have an RB need.
Because I haven't heard your input on this player in a while. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be a Steeler?
So here's the problem. He technically needs to make a decision before the draft. And what I have heard overall, well, he doesn't need to, but like, you know, if you don't tell a team what you're doing,
if you want to show you care about your NFL career,
but also like, you know, if you don't tell one of these teams that are needy, they could just go and draft a quarterback. Like, it could cause like the Steelers to reach on a Jackson Dart.
I'm thinking Aaron Rodgers is holding out, like kind of holding the Steelers semi hostage. Like, well, if you don't draft quarterback, I'll come.
He is, but in my mind, from what I've heard, it really isn't like that. Like Steelers don't give a fuck. Like, you know,
Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin.
And also,
will not let Aaron
the
Rodgers
other thing is the Falcons obviously retained Kirk Cousins, but from what I have also heard, the Falcons, they might end up trading Kirk Cousins away after the draft. Don't know why you wouldn't do it during the draft, but after the draft. And if that happens, the Steelers are an option. Alternatively, the Browns, obviously. But I mean, really,
I've seen some Ohio State Browns fans. They are open to the idea of Kirk. They are open.
There are 3 options for Aaron Rodgers right now. Sign with the Steelers.
Yep.
You sign with the Saints.
Okay.
Or you retire. That's it.
Okay.
He's not. If you take a year, if Aaron Rodgers takes a year off, he's done. He's done.
You're done.
So, like, and the reason, like, the Saints, if the Saints draft Shedeur, which is the most likely scenario. By the way, if the Saints don't draft Shedeur, no, he might be not drafted in the first round. Like, there is a non-zero chance Aaron Rodgers is about to put the Saints and the Steelers both in purgatory, call their bluff, and neither of them draft a quarterback in the first round, and Shedeur falls because they both just want Aaron Rodgers instead. Now, I would doubt Aaron Rodgers goes to the Saints because I think you saw this. Like, one of the big things, one of the reports that came out when he was talking to the Vikings staff, he was saying, hey, this is a 1-year thing. Win the Super Bowl, mentor J.J. McCarthy, I go off into the sunset, is really the way that it sounded. And it's like, this is an opportunity. We're going to chase the Super Bowl for a season. And because of that, he obviously wants to be on a winner. He's not going to go to the Saints. The Saints might be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. So it really leaves to retire, go to the Steelers. And I think if he wants to go to the Steelers, he either is going to have them prove their loyalty and they don't draft a quarterback high, or
prove your loyalty to Aaron Rodgers, who isn't even on your team yet.
Or he signs there. Maybe he doesn't care because he didn't care on the Vikings that they had JJ and he was like, hey, I'll work with you. Maybe we're all blowing out of proportion. He really would be like, do whatever the fuck you want. I will still sign. I don't care. But it might make me go to another team. Your call. So I don't know. I do think that it's either going to be Aaron Rodgers is on the Steelers or Aaron Rodgers isn't anywhere, barring JJ McCarthy gets hurt again. If JJ McCarthy gets hurt again and Aaron Rodgers is a free agent, Aaron Rodgers will be on the Vikings. The Vikings also don't want to hurt their comp pick formula is the other thing. So, but
yeah, that is another factor to consider there. But this draft, it should be an interesting little time. It's not as much excitement as some past years. Like the last draft was electric.
There's a lot of stuff.
There were so many stars.
But there was a lot, and I also think that the draft itself became electric because there were so many things going on. We had like 4 or 5 quarterbacks that could be first-round quarterbacks. We had trades. We had quarterbacks getting drafted after they just signed quarterback. We had so many.
We were both just personally more invested because we had higher picks.
And also, like, for me this year too, I'm like, dude, like, I kind of don't even want the Vikings to have a first-round pick. Trade out of there.
I'm just looking at the first-round players from this past year. This might be going down as like an all-time draft. I'm just
last year
revisiting it. Last year, like
I do think just on a general basis,
solid.
the years where there's not the years that we have quarterbacks, where we have a large quantity of quarterbacks, usually those drafts do better. This year we
way more
don't.
assignment.
This year we don't, and that's part of it. And even then, like it's kind of weird. Like you need to have prominent edge rushers and prominent quarterbacks. Those are like the two marks, which is really weird. Like if you have a lot of really good edge rushers, always a good first round. If you have a lot of really good quarterbacks, always good first round. But if it's like, we have like 6 corners that could be first round picks, you'd be like, I don't care.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell happened last year in college football?
Or we have like 5 tackles. All right,
shit. Dude. We got 2 tight ends who can go round 1 this year. That's a bad sign.
Or if it's like, dude, like we have like 9 first round graded in like interior defensive line.
I mean, there's like 3 safeties that could go first round. Sign of a bad class. All right, sign of a bad class.
Yeah. No, like I really do think the sign of a good draft class is always quarterbacks, edge rushers. If it is a high quantity, then you'll have a very exciting.
I'm like just looking back at last year more, like they were stacked at multiple quarterback, of course, receiver, one of the most stacked receiver classes ever. Marv, Neighbors, shit. Odunze still got some time to show someone in Brian Thomas.
He sucks.
The end of that first round, forget about those picks. Forget about it. Stop the draft at 24.
Remind me who the Eagles drafted last year, Grant?
Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, what pick was that?
22.
Oh, okay. See, I thought it was after 24, so that's why I was calling that into question.
No. After 24, it's Jordan Morgan to the Packers. I'll be honest. I have zero clue what Jordan Morgan did last year in Green Bay.
I don't believe he did anything.
Graham Barton, center to the Bucs. Once again, zero clue what he did, but based off Bucky Irving, I think he was pretty good. Darius Robinson, edge to the Cardinals. Zero clue what he did, but I'm going to assume it did not end well in Arizona for Mr. Robinson. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that yes.
Xavier Worthy, Chiefs.
He had that one really long run.
Hey, that one touchdown week 1.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick. Tyler Guyton.
Taylor Guyton. He started the whole year.
It says Tyler Guyton.
I thought it was Taylor. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's Tyler.
I see.
I'd go with you over me.
Pronounced Taylor and still spelled Tyler. I don't know. I have no idea.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm unfamiliar. Nate Wiggins, Ravens.
All right, baller.
Good.
Baller.
Yeah, he was pretty damn good. Not gonna lie, even I knew that one. Ricky Pearsall. He is thrust into an opportunity.
Did get shot. So give him a break.
He came back quicker.
I will
from
say
a gunshot wound than Blake Corum did. So all I gotta say,
he took a bullet for his Rolex. Like
all I gotta say, and then Leggett, last pick, great social media content, regardless how the career comes out. He's one of the most entertaining men.
Oh, dude, the Packers might have
his clips on raccoons are the funniest things I've ever
used. That South Carolina accent.
I just love me some raccoon, man. I'm like, dude, what the hell? I'd like Adam Thielen sitting there saying, holy shit.
Like this stuff, they don't even happen up in Minnesota.
Yeah, bro. Like Diggs was crazy, but it's not like Diggs was talking about frying up raccoon after practice.
I think personality-wise, we had a selection of like Adam the best Thielen people last year.
He has played alongside some of the most
there's like
wide receivers.
There's not much personality in this draft though. Like Shador, but like that's negative personality.
He's clearly had to really dumb it down though.
Yeah.
Dion,
like it's been negative, but like the last
Shador,
year's draft,
you got to cool it off, man. Like
last year's draft, we had like positive personality where like you wanted to up it, and like people were it was like like Xavier Leggett was putting on JJ McCarthy's meditation and shit.
Caleb's fingernails definitely hurt.
Definitely personality.
Definitely hurt.
We had exciting whites with whatever his name is.
Brock Bowers with the hairline of a 38.
Joe Alt in his Minnesota cabin. Like personality right there. I'm trying to think what else. Like who else really head personality. Still a lot of personality though.
It's a good amount, good amount. Good amount of variety right there. But
more than this year for sure.
Yeah. Maybe a slightly forgettable draft. But the one thing I am most excited for, I think this might be one of the most talented round 2, round 3, day 2.
Oh no, I'm way more excited for round 2 than I think I am for round 1. And I don't even have a pick in round 2 right now, unless we trade out. Like, if we trade out
at the end of the day, the last draft class will have more superstars.
I arguably want to trade out to a early second round pick because I will be way more excited come the start of that second round than I will be for the entire first round period.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because do you have a third round? You have a third round.
We have a third. We do have a third, but we have like a first, a third, 2
teams without a second and third. That's a whole 24 hours that you're not involved in the draft. That can't happen. Can't happen.
No,
you can't go a full 24 hours specifically in the middle of it without a pick. No. We're not doing that shit.
See, that is the problem. If I was an NFL GM, I would have such a hard time sitting on my hands like that. Like, obviously, if I was an NFL GM, like, I'd have more experience in the actual job, but from an outsider, just because
the Pablo Escobar meme standing outside staring at the swimming pool.
But like, or the Squidward meme where like everybody, like SpongeBob and Patrick are running by.
That's way better. Yeah. Way better.
That's how I feel watching it. So I feel like if I was in the draft, like, in our dynasty league, I'm making trades like every round when I have my picks, and like that. So I just like I would need to be hands on to some extent, but I mean that's our, unless you have any other questions or comments on the mock.
My last fun fact of the show, it is Bobby Miller Day, folks, and we will find out, but. Bobby, I think Bobby has a really good chance here because the pressure is off. Okay. Like, we are not expecting anything right now. You have no pressure. If you get lit up, no one will really dog you any extra. We're not expecting you to do anything. But if you give me a little something right here, Bobby, and you could be like Gavin Stone last year, and you can give me 120 innings of 3.4 ERA baseball. Let's see it. Let's see it tonight, Bobby. I'm not out on you yet. I'm not out on you.
Says a lot because Grant was out on you a couple months ago.
I pronounced him dead last year. Deceased.
Grant's ending with that. I'm going to end with this, Grant. I've got a quote from Ashton Genty. It's tackle football. You know what I'm saying? I draft the guy they can't tackle. Well, with that very solid quote. Very solid quote, but we'll end with that. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching, listening, rate us 5 stars. You can find us on Spotify, TikTok, Twitter, and on Instagram at WaterboyPod. You can follow me on Twitter at Everett6 and at WaterboyGrant. We post new episodes every week on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Make sure to subscribe, turn notifications so you don't miss a single episode. We also post exclusive content on Instagram and on TikTok, so make sure to follow us on there as well at the Waterboy Pod. That will see you guys in the next episode. Waterboy's out.